All right, buckle up, because today we are diving deep, and I mean deep, into the crucifixion of Jesus.
Okay.
But we're not going with the usual interpretations you hear everywhere.
Right.
We're going to a fascinating source that you might not know about for a totally fresh perspective. The Urantia Book.
And it does give quite a unique perspective on this.
It's going to get interesting, so hold on tight.
What I find so interesting, at least for me, one of the things that's so interesting about the Urantia book's account of the crucifixion is how it really focuses on details.
Yeah.
For instance, it talks about how it was customary that people condemned to be crucified would carry only the crossbeam to Golgotha, not the entire cross.
Whoa, I never knew that.
Yeah.
It's one thing to think about carrying the whole cross.
Right.
But the crossbeam,
Yeah.
I mean, that changes how you see it.
Absolutely. And after everything that Jesus had already been through.
Exactly.
And to add insult to injury.
Okay.
It specifically points out that the procession was led by the same Roman captain.
Oh, wow.
Who arrested Jesus at Gethsemane.
Oh, no.
So talk about a little bit of a personal vendetta there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, talk about adding insult to injury.
Right.
Like one final little...
One more thing.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of which,
Yeah.
the signs that they would use to say what the person's crime was.
Right, exactly.
The Urantia book, what it says about Jesus's sign. Really fascinating stuff.
Yeah. And again, it's a small detail.
Okay.
But I think it speaks volumes.
Okay.
The signs for the two thieves that were crucified alongside Jesus were very straightforward. Yeah. Brigand, right? Just basically, This is a bad guy.
Yeah, straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
Right.
But Pontius Pilate, he himself wrote the sign for Jesus in 3 different languages.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Latin, Greek, and Aramaic.
You've got to be kidding me.
All 3.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And it read, Jesus of Nazareth,
okay.
the King of the Jews.
No way!
Yeah,
in black and white right there for everybody to see.
Right.
What was Pilate thinking?
So, the Urantia book suggests that this was a very deliberate move on Pilate's part.
Okay.
Knowing that it would provoke the Jewish authorities, who he felt had basically forced his hand in this situation. And as you might imagine, they were furious, and they pleaded with him, at least change it to say, this man said he was the king of the Jews.
He claims or something, yeah.
Right, but Pilate, what he wrote.
Wow.
It was his sign, and that's what it was going to say.
What a power move. I mean,
right.
Oh my goodness, that's something else.
It's fascinating.
So, was crucifixion even a Jewish form of punishment?
That's a really good question, and it actually wasn't.
Okay.
The Urantia book makes it very clear that this was a Roman practice.
Okay.
They had adopted it from the Phoenicians.
Okay.
Even more telling is that Roman citizens themselves were exempt.
Interesting.
It was reserved for slaves and conquered people.
Wow. So like a conquered people, a reminder every day of this is what happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
This very clearly shows the social and political dynamics that were in play at the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a different world than we think, I think, sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very easy to forget that.
For sure.
It was a very different time.
Absolutely.
So as Jesus is, making his way to Golgotha, carrying this heavy crossbeam, the Urantia book introduces us to this man named Simon of Cyrene.
Simon of Cyrene. Okay.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, what if he hadn't been there at that exact moment?
It's such a testament to how random events can change your life.
Absolutely, yeah.
So here he is, just a visitor in Jerusalem, there for the Passover festival, just like everybody else. And suddenly, he's swept up in this Roman procession and forced to help carry the crossbeam of a condemned man. Wow. I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about wrong place, wrong time, right?
Right, but it wasn't just any condemned man, right?
This is
the man who many believe to be the Messiah.
Exactly.
It's hard to even fathom what that must have been like.
Yeah, that'd be really hard to wrap your head around, I think, in the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's the thing. What's really remarkable is that this chance encounter completely changed Simon's life.
Really?
The Urantia book says that he actually became a devoted follower of Jesus.
Wow, are you serious?
After witnessing the crucifixion.
No way.
He went back to his homeland and spread the message.
Get out of here.
And even converted his family.
That's incredible.
Amazing story.
Wow, from just some, guy in the crowd to a believer.
Yes.
Just because of that one little,
It's incredible how these things happen.
Yeah. Wow, it almost gives me chills.
I know, right?
So let's talk about that day, right? The crucifixion itself.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like?
So, we have this traditional image
Yeah.
of a very small gathering,
Right.
but the Urantia book actually suggests that there were over 1,000 people present
1,000 people.
at one point.
Oh my God.
It was a huge event.
Wow. And I mean, just the noise, the emotion.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Imagine the emotions, the noise, just the sheer spectacle of it.
Wow.
But we also have to remember that among those onlookers
Right.
were actual people whose lives were forever changed.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
What they saw that day.
It's so easy to forget that there were real people standing there watching this happen.
It's very easy to forget that.
Yeah.
These weren't just faces in a crowd.
Right.
These were people who knew Jesus.
Yeah.
And their lives were intertwined with his.
Absolutely.
And it mentions specifically that his mother Mary was there.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Along with some of his siblings.
Oh, wow.
And his close followers.
Yeah.
Imagine the heartache.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
The despair they must have felt.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
It's unfathomable, really.
Yeah.
And then we get this other really interesting but kind of chilling detail. He talks about how the Roman soldiers were actually casting lots for Jesus's clothes, gambling for his possessions
Oh my goodness.
at the foot of the cross.
That's awful.
It's a reminder, of the brutality
Yeah, I was going to say.
and the indifference of the people in power.
Absolutely.
It's so easy to forget that.
Right, right.
But even amidst all of this suffering and cruelty,
yeah.
there is a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
And it comes through the story of the two thieves
Okay.
that are crucified alongside Jesus.
Right.
The Urantia book tells how one of these thieves
Okay.
actually recognizes Jesus from his teachings.
Wow.
And in a moment of profound remorse, turns to him and asks to be remembered
Oh, wow.
when Jesus comes into his kingdom.
Oh, my goodness.
And even in his final moments,
Right.
facing unimaginable pain, Jesus extends this message of hope
Wow.
and forgiveness.
That's incredible.
It's really quite beautiful.
That is really amazing.
So we're just scratching the surface here
Okay.
of the Urantia book's account of the crucifixion.
All right.
There's so much more to unpack.
I'm ready.
As we delve deeper,
Okay.
you'll see even more surprising details
Okay.
that really challenge our traditional understanding of this pivotal event.
One thing that really struck me reading the Urantia book's account
Okay.
was how they described Jesus actually being nailed to the cross.
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, it's one thing to just think about it,
right.
but they don't really shy away from the brutal reality of it all.
It's very graphic.
And it's just, oh man, it's tough to read, but I mean, that's what happened.
It's a really, really difficult image to confront. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Urantia book, it doesn't shy away from that.
No, not at all.
And it describes how, his arms were first bound to the crossbeam
Right.
with cords, and then nails were driven through his hands into the wood.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine.
And then they go on to say that once the crossbeam was raised,
Okay.
they used a single nail
Oh, wow.
to pierce both of his feet.
Yeah. And that,
Right.
that detail, again, is just
Oh, it's just awful.
this reminder of just how brutal this form of execution was.
Yeah, for sure.
And-
And I always thought they were, like, way high up in the air.
It's a common misconception.
Yeah.
The Urantia book talks about how they actually weren't that high off the ground.
Really?
His feet would have only been about 3 feet
Get out.
from the ground.
So you're telling me that anybody walking by
Could have
made eye contact with him?
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
And imagine that. I mean, he would have been able to hear everything.
Oh, my God.
The taunts, the jeers,
Oh.
the sounds of the crowd.
Yeah, oh, my goodness.
That
puts it in a whole new light.
It really does.
Because I always thought that it was like, he was far away
Right.
but that's awful.
Yeah, it just really emphasizes, the profound humiliation and suffering
Oh, yeah.
that went into this form of punishment.
And it makes you really appreciate like his moments of grace even more. Oh, absolutely.
Like when they offer him that wine mixed with the drugs,
Yes.
and he's just like, "No, I'm good."
He refused it.
That is like, what kind of strength is that?
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's amazing. I can't even imagine.
He's basically saying, I'm going to I'm going to face this.
Yeah.
I'm going to experience this
Yeah.
to the fullest extent.
Wow.
It's remarkable.
So was there anything else? I mean, were there any conversations? I mean, like, are there details in the Urantia book about what they talked about?
So, it's interesting. You bring up this well-known exchange, right?
Right.
Between Jesus and the repentant thief.
Right.
But the Urantia book makes it very clear that John, the Apostle John,
Okay.
was actually not present
Right.
for that.
It says that he had actually already left Golgotha
Oh, wow.
and gone back to Jerusalem.
Okay.
Most likely to comfort Jesus' mother
That makes sense.
and some of the other women
Right.
who were close followers.
So then how do we have that whole, verily, verily, I say unto you, this day you will be with me in paradise?
So the Urantia book attributes this account to the Roman centurion
Okay.
who was overseeing the crucifixion.
Oh, wow.
And it says that he was so moved
Wow.
by what he witnessed,
Wow.
especially those words that Jesus spoke to the thief,
Yeah.
that he himself became a believer.
Get out of here.
I know, right?
That's incredible.
Talk about a perspective shift
I mean, wow.
from overseeing an execution
Yeah.
to embracing the message
Yeah.
of the person being executed. It's just incredible.
It's amazing how these like little details, and you would think that it would be something that people would like focus on and be like, this is the most important part of the story.
Right.
But it's like this little throwaway line.
It makes you wonder
Yeah.
how many other hearts and minds might have been touched
Absolutely.
during those final hours.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of all of that darkness,
Right.
that suffering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're about to get to, I think, even more of that as we get closer to the end here with Jesus' death.
Yes, the Urantia book's account does not disappoint.
Okay, I'm ready. So we're getting to the end here in the Urantia book,
Okay.
and things are getting really, really intense.
It's getting heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little afternoon. And all of a sudden, this massive sandstorm
Wow.
just comes out of nowhere
Wow.
and covers Jerusalem in darkness.
Yeah.
And I mean, just like dark.
Oh, yeah, the Urantia book really emphasizes that.
Yeah.
It got dark, like really dark.
And it's almost like,
Yeah.
symbolic
Yeah.
of what's going on,
Absolutely. It's like this reflection of the weight
Yeah, exactly.
of what's happening.
And so everybody, or at least most everybody,
Yeah.
takes off.
They scatter
Yeah.
because nobody wants to be out in that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be,
Yeah.
especially if I thought it was like, the end of the world or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know if they did, but still.
Right. But I mean, talk about an intense situation, right?
Yeah.
And it's this small group
Yeah.
of Roman soldiers and a few followers of Jesus.
Wow. That's a powerful image.
It's a very solitary image,
Yeah, so he's like abandoned, really,
Very much so, yeah.
by pretty much everybody.
And yet,
Yeah.
even then, he's still, according to the Urantia book,
Okay.
reciting passages from the Hebrew Scriptures.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's like still going?
Still going.
I mean, that's like how much, I don't even know. That's
remarkable.
That's a lot of faith. That's all I'm going to say.
It really is.
But doesn't it also say that he like cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah, and this is a passage
Right.
that I think a lot of people kind of get tripped up on.
Yeah, because it seems like
It does. It seems like
he's lost faith.
right, like he's doubting.
Yeah.
But the Urantia book makes it very clear that
Oh,
he's not expressing doubt.
okay.
What he's doing is he's quoting the 22nd Psalm,
Oh, okay.
which, if you've ever read it, it starts with those exact words.
Oh, wow. So he's not saying that he's been abandoned. He's just,
He's quoting Scripture.
wow. That makes so much more sense.
It does. It adds a whole other layer to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
It's
that
almost like a code.
it is. It is
Oh,
like a
wow.
little, Easter egg in there.
So unless you knew that he was quoting the 22nd Psalm, you would think that he's like, I've lost my faith. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
Wow. That's really interesting.
And it also, it shows that, even within these religious texts,
Yeah.
there is room for
Yeah.
raw human emotion.
Absolutely.
Like he's allowing himself to feel that despair
Yeah.
and to express it.
And the fact that he's still going, I mean,
Exactly.
oh man. So the storm's going, it's dark, he's hurting.
Yeah.
And then he says his final words. It is finished. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit.
And just like that,
Yeah.
it's over.
Wow. I mean, there's power in those words, but there's also like a calmness.
There isn't.
Yeah, it's not like, what you would expect.
Right.
Screaming and yelling. It's very much like
At peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much at peace.
And you would think, like, after everything he went through,
Right.
that would be the end of the compassion.
You would think.
You would think.
No, not at all.
Because they talk about how the Roman soldiers, they were supposed to break the legs
Yeah.
of the people being crucified so they would die quicker.
Hasten death.
Right.
Because they had to get the bodies off the crosses before sundown.
Right.
Because of Sabbath.
Because of Sabbath, yeah.
And when they get to Jesus, he's already gone.
Wow.
And it even mentions that,
Yeah.
he died faster than usual
Really?
for crucifixion victims, which just goes to show you the amount of suffering he endured in those few short hours.
I mean, that's just incredible to me.
Yeah.
I've never read an account of the crucifixion quite like this.
It's unique. It's very vivid.
It makes you think,
It does.
of how much we don't know
Makes it-
and how many different perspectives there are on things.
And how important it is to,
Yeah.
seek those out,
Yeah.
because you never know what you're going to find.
It might just change your whole perspective on everything.
It just might.
On that note, this has been quite the deep dive.
It has.
A lot to think about.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See you then.